stars. It's the only thing that I'm playing at the minute. So without further ado, let's fire on with the presentation. Okay, so basically late game play, we're going to be discussing levels 25-50 onwards. You'll find that more games will actually get to this point as you move up levels, more money on the line, meaning that people aren't willing to go broke quite as easy as they are in the $6 ones, in the $6 matches and the $10 matches. You should aim to get players to this point in the game. What I mean by that is, as you'll find out, this is the point in the game where most players make the biggest mistakes. That's the next little point there. Yeah, most novices are going to make the biggest mistakes at this point. So getting them to this point in the game, and where us playing solid is going to capitalise on their mistakes. If we just move on to the next slide, we're just going to discuss 25-50 first, and fundamentals and things to remember here. Your effective stacks are now usually 15 to 30 big blinds. Effective stacks, we're going to discuss what actually effective stacks are in the future. However, just a quick point, always the smallest stack is the effective stack size. So say you're on 2,000 and your opponent is on 1,000, then the effective stack size will be 1,000 and 20 big blinds in this at the 25-50 level. Quite obviously, mistakes in this level can and probably will cost you the tournament. We'll again discuss what some of these mistakes are. Raises should now change to about 2 or 2.5 times big blind. Personally, I tend to favour the 2 times big blind raise. However, 2.5 times the big blind isn't too bad. And it's a common mistake for people to carry on raising 3 times the big blind at this point in the tournament, and this can be easily exploited. Okay, this is quite an important one to remember, and hand values increase and decrease. Now, what I mean by that is, for example, suited connectors like 7-8 suited and suited gappers like 8-10 suited go down in value, whilst hands like Ace-8 offsuit go up. This doesn't mean that you should fold them, just don't overplay and don't commit too many chips into the pot with your suited connectors. Just let's discuss that a bit further and why the hand values go down and up. Basically, when you're playing suited connectors, I know I've said this before definitely, and I assume most of the other coaches have as well. When you're playing suited connectors, you're looking to flop straights and flushes, and early on in the tournament, if you hit your top pair and are facing action, then you can get away from top pair with a weak kicker quite easily. Whereas later on in the tournament, if we hit a 8-high flop, then we're going to be more willing to go broke with it. So you've just got to be careful there. And obviously, on the other side of hands like Ace-8 offsuit, when you hit your top pair, you're going to be willing to go broke because of the kicker. Excuse me. Yeah, so that explains that quite well, I think. And your post-flop play at this point should be aggressive. Lots of stabbing at pots and things like that. Your continuation bet frequency should rise, yet your 2-barrel percentage should decrease, and 2-barrel obviously continuation betting the flop and then betting the turn as well when we've missed. Okay, and now if we just go into the really interesting stuff, which is 50 and 100 onwards. Okay, it should primarily be shove fold at this point, unless you have reason to believe that your opponent is going to let you limp a lot. Only limp if you can get away with it, or if you're trapping. I know I've demonstrated this in, I think it's my last video, where I've limped him with aces. It didn't quite work out. Leads on to my next point though. Don't be one of the guys who limps every big hand he gets. Now, if you're going to limp a big pocket pair, you should have a reason to do it. If your opponent's been shoving every time you've limped and stuff like that, or judging from the game dynamics, you'll generally get a good feel for when you should be limping the big hands and when you shouldn't. Generally, I'd advise against it. I think it's pretty transparent, but every now and again throw one in. and use tools available to help with difficult shove, fold and call decisions. We're going to discuss some of the tools now. And the first one that we're going to be looking at is Sage.